Toronto real estate prices have just plunged by the largest amount in a single month on record. We'll talk about what happened and why realtors think the market is set for a rebound. But first, the Bank of Canada held rates on Wednesday. Why did they make that decision, and what does the coming year hold? That's right, folks, it's time for another Friday update with your old pal, Millennial Moron. I've got 3 stories for you this week on 3 of the big topics in Canadian housing and the economy. Some of these are probably not going to be exactly what you were expecting to hear this week, but if you find yourself getting confused at any point, just keep watching and it should start to make sense. But first, let me ask if this sounds familiar to you. You're writing a letter to mail to your friend, but then you realize you're out of stamps. So now you gotta get in your car, drive all the way to the post office, and wait in line for 15 minutes just so you can buy an expensive book of stamps. Well, that's why millions of people across the country are now using email. It's free, it gets delivered instantly, you can do it from home, and it's environmentally friendly. Now I know what you're thinking. You're saying, oh, but I want to write a card by hand and send it through the mail. It'll be sentimental and cute. It won't be cute, okay? You're just putting someone into this weird social obligation of sending them a thing that then they have to be like, oh, I wonder how long I have to keep this in my place before it's okay for me to throw it out. You want to write a card by hand? Fine, do it. Then just take a picture of it with your phone and email it to the person. They'll get it right away, you don't need a stamp, and they can keep it forever without it taking up space at their place. Email has been around for like so long at this point. I can't believe you're still talking about stamps, dude. Anyway, the Bank of Canada held the policy interest rate steady at 5% on Wednesday, despite widespread speculation that the Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem would be announcing the first rate cut since rates started to increase back in 2022. However, at the beginning of the press conference, just before Macklem was about to announce the start of the cycle of rate reductions, he was accosted by an emu which ran off with his glasses. The emu is currently at large, and authorities have warned members of the public to exercise caution if they encounter the emu, as the glasses still appear to be intact and the frames originally belonged to Macklem's grandfather. Unfortunately, Macklem was unable to finish the press conference and was taken to the hospital where he was determined to have sustained a minor concussion. Under the Bank of Canada Act, this type of injury means that Macklem's duties and powers will be suspended until he has made a full recovery, and until then, any decisions on monetary policy will be put on hold, meaning that the first rate cut won't be taking place at least until the next meeting in June. As is outlined in our international agreement, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand will be filling in for the Bank of Canada while Macklem is incapacitated. However, this is really just a caretaking role to make sure that things keep operating as needed in the interim, and they won't have the ability to lower or raise the policy rate. Minister of Finance Chrystia Freeland issued a statement on Thursday morning saying that although they may not have the power to change rates, Canadians are expected to treat their substitute central bank with the same respect that they'd show to the Bank of Canada. Next, StatCan released the inflation numbers for March, which were steady at 2.8%, the same as February. However, many observers noted that the numbers this month were printed in a much larger font than usual. I thought this might just be an ordinary design change or just plain faulty memory, so I checked back in the Internet Archive, and it turns out that the font size has been growing very slowly since the numbers for February were published last month. You wouldn't be able to tell if you were just looking at the page live, but over time it's obvious that the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When asked about the growing inflation numbers, StatCan analyst Doug Williams insisted that they were the same size they'd always been. However, after showing him screenshots of the growing numbers, he said it was a technical glitch, and I probably just needed to update my browser to the latest version. But I said, I don't know, Doug, it's been happening on different browsers and different computers, so I think something funny's going on here. And he said, what are you, a cop? And I said, no. And he said, because you gotta tell me if you're a cop. And I said, no, okay, I'm not a cop, first of all, but the cops don't have to tell you just because you ask. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose of being undercover. And then he said, yeah, you do, bro, read the Constitution. And then I think he thought that he hung up on me, but actually he just put his phone back in his pocket with the call still going, and then I heard him order 2 Baconators, a large fries, a large chocolate frosty, and a Diet Coke. Really, Doug? Also, this was a Tuesday morning. Finally, new stats show that home prices in Toronto fell by the largest amount in a single month on record in March, with the benchmark price plummeting almost 7% in a single month and sales volume falling by half. As you probably know, this is a result of a gigantic, previously unknown sinkhole destabilizing beneath the city, causing an area from downtown to Finch Avenue to drop by an average of 70 centimeters, according to early estimates. This resulted in massive structural damage to almost every building in the city, with over 60% of all homes and businesses being destroyed outright, with many more becoming uninhabitable. Of course, this also resulted in a rush of water from Lake Ontario flooding most of the city, forcing a widespread evacuation. Unfortunately, the city's problems were compounded by the destruction of the Redpath sugar refinery on the waterfront, causing the floodwaters to mix with thousands of tons of sugar. This, in turn, attracted over 400 million bees to the area, which quickly swarmed the sugar water and started forming enormous colonies in the treetops that remained above water. The city being filled completely with water and bees has, of course, resulted in a significant slowdown in the real estate market. However, the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board issued a statement saying that they still expect a strong market to emerge in the summer as buyers start to come off the sidelines due to the recent price drop combined with anticipated rate cuts upon Tiff Macklem's return to the Bank of Canada. Also, they expect this event to actually enhance property values due to the increasing popularity of urban beekeeping, as well as the fact that everything in the city is now technically a waterfront property. That's all for this week, so as always, thanks for watching and enjoy your weekend. Also, if you were confused about any of the news stories you saw in today's video, keep in mind that I filmed this last month and I have no idea what's going on. I'll be back next week. See ya!